here. Good to see you this morning. Look, I mean, I sort of know what you're going to say. It was a win for your man.
Without a doubt. I mean, I don't think President Trump had to do anything. He just had to watch President Biden self-destruct, and he really did. It was an unmitigated disaster.
But what strikes me about this is the focus is not on the fact that Trump didn't really answer many questions or was not, should we say, completely open with the truth.
He tends to exaggerate
and
use some hyperbole, but no doubt he didn't have to do anything. President Biden just completely self-inflicted wounded himself. I mean, it really was a disaster. And now the question is, what happens next? Even the media and inner circle Democrats last night were shaking their heads saying, this is a problem.
But there is another debate to come, isn't there? I mean, that's in September. I mean, do you think it will actually happen?
I doubt it will happen, first of all. And secondly, it's after both conventions. So if they pull Biden, they have to do it between now and August. So I doubt that next debate even happens. If I were Trump, I would bail out of it because it was such a disaster for Biden that Trump doesn't need to do anything. But it's really an indictment on the party and the inner circle power structure in Washington that protected Biden and didn't allow other candidates to compete with Biden. I mean, they'd love to turn back the clock now. It was a huge mistake.
Why have they been so... Sorry, Stephen. Why have they been so strong in their determination to stick with Biden? It's quite clear to anyone watching.
Right. And,
it's not very well.
One argument is the power of incumbency, but incumbency hasn't been that powerful the last few decades. So I think that was a mistake. But more importantly, it's the power. They wanted to keep the power, the inner circle around him. If another candidate had run and beat Biden, they'd bring in their own team. And so I think especially Dr. Jill Biden, she should be ashamed of herself.
Well, look, in all of this, it's what would work better for the Democrats and what would work against Trump. Now, if there's an argument to say, well, if you bring someone new in now, that plays into Trump's hands. I'm not quite so sure. If they brought in a very younger, stronger candidate, then perhaps that would give Trump something to worry about.
Absolutely it will. And I've been saying this for 2 years. If they had chosen a different candidate, any other candidate or most other candidates would beat Trump. And so the question is, in a panic at the end of the process, injecting someone in there might be difficult. It'll create some division in the party, especially if they choose a moderate like Joe Shapiro or even Gretchen Whitmer, not very moderate. But that will really annoy the progressive left, who have really taken over Washington and taken over Biden for the most part. So for the radical left, this will be a difficult moment.
Has it changed anyone's minds?
Oh, it has. I mean, just the reactions from CNN, New York Times, and, Van Jones, people that are real Biden supporters have essentially flipped on him. And so, again, it's an indictment of the party and the media for covering up for Biden for years now. And when this was so obvious, and it should have been obvious,
it's been obvious to everybody else.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think they knew it.
To be honest, it doesn't feel like you're having it. What makes this different is it's not an attack on his politics per se. It's just saying this is a man who is not in the best place. In terms of his health,
the cognitive issues are obvious, and it's a shame that they did this to themselves, the Democrats. If they had just allowed the nomination process to work, they wouldn't be in this situation. So it's really a shame, but again, I think it's more of an indictment on the party and the inner circle than it is on President Biden. It's very hard to give up power. Think about it. Angela Merkel's probably the only Western leader who's actually retired. You either lose or you die. It's just it's a tragic mistake for the Democrats here, but they might be able to turn it around if they get a candidate, Gavin Newsom, Joe Shapiro, someone who has some name recognition in the case of Newsom, a moderate in the case of Joe Shapiro. I think they'll give Trump a run. There's no way Biden wins now. I mean, that's impossible.